Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep on the law of attraction. And, the more I learn about this, the more I feel like we're all kind of walking around with these superpowers we don't even realize we have.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It's like we've been given this cosmic remote control,
Yep.
but most of us don't know how to use it yet.
Right, exactly. Our
Okay.
source material for this deep dive is Ask and It Is Given. It's by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And this book, it presents the teachings of this non-physical entity called Abraham. And I think, you guys are probably familiar with the basics, like attracts, like thoughts become things, that kind of stuff. But we're going to go a little bit deeper here. We're going to explore some of the more nuanced and, dare I say, mind-blowing aspects of Abraham's teachings.
Yeah. What I think is fascinating about this book is it kind of goes beyond just positive thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It really gets into the mechanics of how our thoughts and beliefs and emotions, how they interact with the energy of the universe to actually create our reality.
Oh, okay. So let's unpack that then. The first big idea that really got me thinking was this concept of you create your own reality. I know that can be it can be a loaded statement, right?
It can.
But it's not about blaming ourselves for every little thing that happened.
No, not at all. It's more about understanding that we are powerful creators. And we're always emitting a vibrational frequency that's attracting experiences back to us.
So we're like these walking, talking magnets, drawing in experiences that match our dominant vibration.
Exactly. And that vibration is determined by our thoughts, beliefs, and most importantly, our emotions.
Okay, now that's where it starts to get interesting for me, because I've always had a little trouble understanding how emotions fit into the whole law of attraction equation.
Well, you can think of your emotions as your internal guidance system. They're always giving you feedback on your vibrational alignment.
Okay.
So positive emotions, things like joy, love, and gratitude, they indicate that you are in sync with your source energy. You're in the natural flow of well-being.
So when I'm feeling good, that's a sign that I'm on the right track vibrationally.
Exactly. And conversely, negative emotions, things like fear, anger, resentment, these are signals that you're kind of out of alignment, that you're resisting the natural flow of well-being.
Okay, that makes sense. But it still feels a little bit abstract to me.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can visualize this concept of vibrational alignment?
Sure. Absolutely. Imagine two tuning forks. When you strike one tuning fork, the other fork, if it's tuned to the same frequency, it will start to vibrate as well. It's called resonance.
Mm-hmm.
So now think about the universe as this vast field of energy vibrating at different frequencies. Your desires, your goals, they also have these specific frequencies. When your vibration, which is influenced by your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, it matches the frequency of your desire. You create resonance. And that's when the law of attraction kicks in, bringing those desires into your reality.
So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about becoming a vibrational match for what I want.
Exactly. And that brings us to the law of attraction itself. It's essentially the principle that attracts in a vibrational universe.
Okay. But how does that actually work? Like in real life, I mean, we've all heard thoughts become things, but it's not always that simple, is it?
No, it's not always instantaneous, right?
Yeah.
There's a process. And that's where the concept of the power of 17 seconds comes in.
Yeah, that one really caught my attention. The book says that holding a thought for 17 seconds activates the law of attraction. And if you can stretch it to 68 seconds, things start to manifest. Is there any science behind this, or is it more of a metaphysical concept?
It's actually both. There's a growing body of research on brainwave entrainment, which suggests that sustained focus can actually shift our brainwave patterns and influence our reality. So think about it this way. When you hold a thought for an extended period of time, you're essentially amplifying its frequency, making it more powerful in attracting its vibrational match.
So it's not just wishful thinking. It's about consciously directing my energy and my focus.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond fleeting thoughts and cultivating a vibration that's aligned with our desires.
So does that mean if I spend 68 seconds obsessing over winning the lottery, that a winning ticket will magically appear in my hand?
Well, not necessarily. While focused intention is a key ingredient, there's also the element of allowing in detachment. The universe might have a different plan or a different timeline in mind.
Right, because sometimes what we think we want might not actually be what's best for us.
Exactly. And that's where trust comes in. Surrendering to the wisdom of the universe, knowing that things are unfolding in perfect timing, even if we can't always see the bigger picture.
Okay, so intention plus trust, that sounds like a pretty powerful combination.
It is. And the book provides a framework for cultivating both through a series of 22 specific processes to help you deliberately apply the law of attraction.
22 processes. Wow. Now, I know we can't cover all 22 processes today, but are there a few that really stand out to you as particularly powerful or intriguing?
Absolutely. One that I find particularly effective is the avalanche of appreciation. And that's about shifting your vibrational frequency to a higher, more positive state by focusing on things you already appreciate in your life.
So instead of dwelling on what's missing, you're actively cultivating gratitude for what you already have.
Exactly. And when you do that, you raise your vibration, making you a magnet for more things to be grateful for. It creates this beautiful upward spiral of positivity.
Okay, I can see how that would make a big difference. What else?
Another one that I find fascinating is the magical creation box. It's about visualizing your desires as already manifested, putting them in this box, metaphorically speaking, and then surrendering the how to the universe.
So it's like planting a seed and trusting that it will grow without having to micromanage every step of the process.
Exactly. You're putting your desires out there, but then releasing any attachment to how or when they might unfold. You're trusting the universe to orchestrate the perfect timing and circumstances.
These processes are so interesting, and I just want to give our listeners a taste of what else is in store. The book also covers things like pivoting, where you shift your focus from what you don't want to what you do want, and script writing, where you actually write out a detailed narrative of your desired experience. But even with all these tools, I imagine there are still challenges, right?
Of course.
I mean, let's face it, we're human. We have doubts and fears and limiting beliefs.
Absolutely. And one of the most common challenges people face is the persistence of negative thoughts and limiting beliefs. They can feel like these unwelcome guests that just keep showing up.
Right. Like, oh, it's you again. I thought I told you to leave.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Trying to suppress or ignore those thoughts often just makes them stronger.
So what's the best way to deal with those negative thoughts, those limiting beliefs?
Well, the first step is awareness,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
You can't change what you're not aware of. So start paying attention to your thoughts. Notice the ones that are based on fear or lack or self-doubt.
Okay, so step one is notice the thought. Then what?
Then you gently begin to shift your focus. Remember that analogy about getting to San Diego from Phoenix? You can't get there by focusing on not Phoenix. You have to shift your attention to San Diego, to where you want to be.
That's such a great analogy. It applies so perfectly to our thoughts. Instead of dwelling on what we don't want, we need to redirect our focus to what we do want.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important principle. Allowing and detachment. Yes, you have to have that laser focus on your desires. But you also have to release any resistance and trust that the universe will orchestrate the perfect timing and circumstances.
So it's not about controlling the outcome, it's about trusting the process.
Exactly. It's about surrendering to the wisdom of the universe, knowing that everything is unfolding as it should, even if we can't always see the bigger picture.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. Let's take a minute to recap the key takeaways for everyone listening. Number one, you are a powerful creator of your own reality. You're always emitting a vibrational frequency that's attracting experiences back to you. Number two, the law of attraction is always at play, whether you're aware of it or not, like attracts vibrational universe. And number three, you can use your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions to consciously manifest your desires. But it's not just about wishful thinking. It requires focused intention, trust, and a willingness to allow the universe to work its magic. Now, here's a question for you to ponder. If you could choose any feeling in the world to experience right now, what would it be? And how could you start cultivating that feeling more often? We'll be back in a moment to explore even more fascinating concepts and practical techniques for harnessing the power of the law of attraction. Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive. I don't know about you, but I'm already feeling a shift in my thinking just from that first segment. It's like, if we really are these powerful creators, shaping our reality with our thoughts and our emotions, well, that opens up a whole world of possibilities, doesn't it?
It does. It can be exhilarating and, as you said, a little bit daunting. Because with great power comes great responsibility. It really does put the onus on us to become conscious creators of our lives.
So where do we even begin if we want to start harnessing this power to become more intentional about what we're attracting into our lives? Where's the starting point?
I think one of the most important things is to start paying attention to our dominant vibration. Remember that analogy of the tuning forks. We want to be in tune with the experiences that we desire.
Yeah.
But the thing is, most of us were walking around unconsciously broadcasting this mix of frequencies based on all the thoughts and beliefs and emotions that are just swirling around inside us.
So it's like we're sending out mixed signals, attracting a little bit of this and a little bit of that instead of being focused on what we really want.
Exactly. And that's where those 22 processes from ask and it is given can be so helpful. They're like tools,
Yeah.
to fine-tune our vibration, to
Mhm.
become more conscious and deliberate with what we're putting out there.
Okay. So let's revisit one of those processes that we talked about earlier, the avalanche of appreciation. I love the imagery of that. It's like this cascading wave of gratitude washing over us and raising our vibration.
Yeah, it's such a powerful practice because it shifts our focus from lack to abundance. Instead of dwelling on what we don't have, we're acknowledging and appreciating all the good that's already in our lives.
And the book says that the more we appreciate, the more things we find to appreciate, like a positive feedback loop.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like we're training our brains to seek out the good, to
Mhm.
focus on the positive, which in turn attracts more positivity into our experience.
That makes so much sense. But what about those negative thoughts and limiting beliefs? How do we prevent those from kind of, I don't know, sabotaging
Yeah.
our efforts to cultivate a higher vibration?
Well, remember, awareness is the first step, right? We can't change what we're not aware of.
Yeah.
So start by just noticing those negative thoughts and beliefs without judgment.
Okay, so notice them, but don't engage with them. Just acknowledge they're there, but don't give them the power.
Exactly. It's like, seeing a storm cloud off in the distance. You acknowledge it's there, but you don't let it, rain on your parade.
I love that. So we acknowledge the negative thought, but then we gently shift our focus. And I remember you talking about that analogy of getting to San Diego from Phoenix. You can't get there by focusing on where you don't want to be.
Right. It's such a key point.
Uh-huh.
Instead of dwelling on what we want to avoid or change, we need to shift our attention to what we want to create.
So if I'm feeling anxious about a presentation at work, instead of focusing on my fear of messing up, I should focus on the feeling of confidence and connection that I want to experience during the presentation.
Yes, exactly. And that's where the power of imagination comes in. That magical creation box process that we were talking about earlier, that's a great example of this.
Yeah, remind me how that one works again.
Well, it's about creating this clear and vivid visualization of your desired outcome. You want to imagine it in as much detail as possible, engaging all your senses, and then you metaphorically place that vision in a creation box, surrendering the how to the universe.
So I'm not trying to figure out all the logistics or the step-by-step plan. I'm just holding the vision and trusting that the universe will figure out the details.
Exactly. It's like giving the universe a blueprint
Yeah.
and letting it do its thing.
That's such a powerful concept, but I have to admit I'm a bit of a control freak. Letting go and trusting isn't always easy for me. Do you have any tips for people who, struggle with surrendering the reins?
Well, first, it's helpful to recognize that the need to control is often rooted in fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of things not going according to plan. So the first step is to kind of acknowledge and address those fears.
Okay, so acknowledge the fear and then...
And remind yourself that you're not actually in control anyway. There are so many factors that are outside of our control. Trying to micromanage every aspect of our lives is exhausting and ultimately futile.
It's like trying to hold back the tide, right?
Exactly. It's much more effective to, learn to surf the waves, to trust in the flow of life.
So it's about surrender, letting go of that need to control, and allowing the universe to guide us towards our highest good.
Exactly. And remember, the universe has a much grander vision for us than we can even imagine on our own.
But how do we know if we're aligned with that vision? How do we know if we're on the right track?
Well, that's where our emotions come back into play. They're our internal guidance system.
So if we're feeling good, if we're experiencing joy or excitement or passion, that's a sign that we're in alignment with our desires and with the universe.
That's exactly right.
But what if we're feeling impatient? Like, what if we're frustrated because things aren't happening fast enough?
Well, those feelings are a sign that we're resisting the flow. We're trying to force things to happen on our timeline instead of trusting the timing of the universe.
So impatience is a form of resistance.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
And resistance creates a blockage in the flow of energy, making it harder for our desires to manifest.
So it's like we're putting up these energetic roadblocks, preventing our desires from reaching us.
That's a great way to put it.
So the key is to surrender, to trust the process, and to focus on cultivating those feelings of joy, gratitude, and excitement. That's easier said than done, though, isn't it? I mean, we live in a world that's constantly bombarding us with reasons to feel stressed and anxious and overwhelmed.
It is a challenge.
Yeah.
But with practice, we can learn to be more mindful of our thoughts and emotions. We can learn to choose thoughts and beliefs that empower us, and that create a vibration that's aligned with our desires.
It's like we're building a muscle.
Yeah.
a muscle of positivity and trust in the universe.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
So how do we get better at flexing that muscle? How do we become more consistent in maintaining that high vibration? That's something I want to explore further.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
It's funny, we're talking about building this muscle of positivity and trust, and I'm realizing it's kind of like any other skill. The more
Mhm.
we practice it, the stronger we get. But where do we find the motivation to keep practicing, especially when life throws those curveballs our way?
That's a great question. And I think it speaks to the heart of what it means to really embrace the law of attraction. It's not about pretending that everything's always perfect and happy.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose our perspective, to choose how we respond to whatever's happening around us.
So it's not about denying the negative. It's about consciously shifting our focus to the positive, even when things feel challenging.
Exactly. And that's where those processes from ask and it is given can be so helpful.
Yeah.
They give us tools and techniques to help us navigate those tough moments and maintain a higher vibration, even when things are, up and down in life.
Okay, so let's go back to a couple of those processes that we've talked about. We've talked about the avalanche of appreciation, which is all about cultivating gratitude for what we already have. And we explored the magical creation box, where we visualize our desires as already manifested, putting them in this metaphorical box and surrendering the how to the universe.
Right.
Are there any other processes that you find particularly helpful in maintaining a high vibration, especially when faced with challenges?
Yeah. One that I find really empowering is the process of pivoting.
Yeah.
It's about shifting our focus from what we don't want to what we
Yeah.
do want. You remember that analogy about getting to San Diego from Phoenix? We can't get to where we want to go by focusing on where we don't want to be.
It's like if you're driving and you miss your exit, you don't just keep driving in the wrong direction.
Right. Exactly.
You have to course correct, find a new route, and pivot towards your destination.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we could apply that to our thoughts and emotions too. If we find ourselves dwelling on negativity, we can choose to pivot to thoughts and feelings that are more in alignment with what we want to experience.
So if I'm feeling stressed out about a deadline at work, instead of focusing on the pressure and feeling overwhelmed, I could pivot towards feelings of calm and focus, accomplishment.
Exactly, yes. And by shifting your focus like that, you also shift your vibration, making you a magnet for solutions and opportunities that will help you get to your desired outcome.
That's so powerful. And it really highlights the importance of being mindful of our thoughts and emotions, right?
Yes.
Recognizing when we've veered off course and choosing to redirect our energy.
Absolutely. It's about becoming the captain of our own ship, steering ourselves towards, the reality we want.
And sometimes that means asking for help, right? We don't have to do this alone.
Yeah, that's such an important point. Abraham talks a lot about the power of aligning with our inner being, with source energy, or whatever we choose to call that, higher power. And that alignment often involves asking for guidance and support.
So it's not about trying to do everything ourselves. It's about surrendering to a power greater than ourselves and trusting that we're being guided every step of the way.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about recognizing that we're a part of something much bigger and that we can tap into that source of wisdom and power whenever we need to.
That's such a beautiful thought. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the law of attraction, what's the most important message you want our listener to take away?
I think it's the understanding that they're not just passive observers in their lives. They are powerful creators. They're capable of shaping their reality through their thoughts, their beliefs, their emotions. And while it's not always easy, it's a journey of self-discovery. It's a journey of empowerment and of infinite possibility.
It's been such a great journey exploring these concepts with you. I feel like I've learned so much, and I'm excited to keep applying these principles in my own life.
Me too. It's always inspiring to revisit the wisdom of Abraham and to see the power of the law of attraction in action.
We hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights and practical tools to start manifesting your dreams. Remember, you are capable of creating a life filled with joy, abundance, and fulfillment.
You are.
So keep those vibrations high, trust in the power of the universe, and keep exploring all the possibilities that await you.
Yeah.
Until next time, happy manifesting.